everybody, thanks for joining me on this video. I'm Lul, a mountaineer with experience in the Alps, Caucasus, Himalayas, and of course I've summited Kilimanjaro. And today I wanted to show you the equipment that you will need for your Kilimanjaro trek, irrelevant of which route you opt for. Of course, if you're going for a longer route, you will need a few more of the items that I will mention, but otherwise the equipment will be the same. And the approach I will adopt is from toes to head. I find that to be a very systematic approach how to go about it. Let's start with shoes, and I would say that shoes are one of the biggest issues on Kilimanjaro. Which shoes should I take? It is also what I was thinking before I went. So let me tell you how I went about it. So I opted for waterproof, slightly high but very light trekking shoes, and I used these for the bottom part of the mountain. They were really comfortable, light and easy to walk with, and when it rained, because they're waterproof, they still kept me dry and warm. Then for summit day I opted for a nice sturdy and warm B2 boots. These are the La Sportiva Equilibrium, but you can go for any similar model. These will help on summit day. If you don't have them, it's not a necessity. You can get by with something a bit less technical, which I'll show you, but these will make some difference. This will keep you really nice and warm. If you don't have access to these, you could opt for this type of boots. This is a normal hiking boots. In fact, you see it's quite flexible, which makes it a bit more comfortable than the other one, but less warm. The good thing about these type of boots is that you can start with these from the bottom of the mountain and just keep going up all the way. If you go for this type of boot, make sure that you opt for a waterproof version. It's very important that they are waterproof. It rains quite often on Kilimanjaro, and also when you reach the snow line, it's important that the snow will not penetrate inside the shoe. Also, if you go with this type of shoe, try to opt for thicker socks. So when buying it, keep in mind that you will be wearing thick socks and you need enough space for the socks and for your toes to wiggle around. So that is shoes. By the way, you don't need to remember everything I say, because down in the description I have provided you with a full list of all the equipment that you will need. Now let's go with socks. You start the trek with thin socks like these. These are nice merino socks, but they are on the thin side because it can be quite warm during the day. As you go higher, you shift to thicker types of socks, either this one or this one. These are a bit different in construction, but they are both quite warm. This is what I would typically wear in winter when hiking, not at altitude. Ideally, you take also 2 pairs of these, because these are the weight that you will be using the most on the mountain. For summit day, I opt for a thermal base layer. This is very thin. It can be merino or a synthetic blend, doesn't really matter. And then on top of it, I wear these long and thick merino socks. If we keep moving up our body, I would go underwear. Underwear you will need a few pairs. It depends on what material you go for. Avoid cotton. If you go for something like this, which is merino, then you can get by with 3 pairs, even 2 if you want. But let's not skim because they're very light, so go at least for 3 pairs. If you opt for synthetic material, they don't deal so well with odor, so maybe go for a few more pairs. And now let's move on to trousers. Whichever mountain I go to, I always take with me zip-off trousers. These, as you can see here, have a zipper, and you can remove the bottom part of the legs and it transforms into a shorts. I like these because they are light, and if it gets really warm, then I can convert it into shorts and I don't sweat too much on the mountain. I need space where to put it. Let's put it here. Then, as you go higher up the mountain, you will need to change into something like this. This is a soft shell type of trousers. It doesn't need to be too thick. It will not be thin, because all soft shell trousers tend to have a certain thickness because they are meant for rather cold environment. What I would really suggest is that you choose one with these side zippers, so that if it starts getting warm, you can open these zippers and you get quite some ventilation and you don't sweat so much. Keep in mind that on Kilimanjaro, on most days, you start quite early in the morning, so the sun hasn't really gone up and it's rather chilly. But then as soon as the sun goes up and it starts hitting you, it gets really, really warm. That's why it's important to be able to change a bit your conditions and be able to ventilate. On summit day, you can wear again these soft shell trousers, but you will need more layers underneath. And you will start with a thermal base layer. This can be again synthetic or merino. You only need one because you'll be wearing this only on summit day. So even if synthetic tends to stink a bit, it's not an issue. I would opt for 200 to 260 grams when it comes to merino. And by the way, if I say some terminology that you're not familiar with, I will soon be posting another video where I explain this terminology and the type of clothing that is used on the mountains in general. So I will provide you with a link in the description once that video is online. Now this will not be enough with the soft shell trousers for summit day. So you need something like this, which is a light down pants that you wear on top of the merino and under the soft shell. You could also opt for a fleece trousers. There are fleece trousers which are of similar thickness and offer similar warmth. I don't have one, I prefer these down ones. Some people also opt for down pants, which are bigger, not thicker in terms of material, but just bigger, and they wear them on top of their soft shell. The advantage with that approach, wearing the down on the soft shell, is that when you feel warm, it's easy to take the down off and stay with your soft shell. The disadvantage is that if it snows, or somehow you get wet by sitting on the snow, the soft shell, if you keep it on the outside, repels a bit the water, whereas the down trousers really absorbs it. So that's why I prefer to have my down trousers underneath my soft shell. And then if it gets really warm, I just stop for a couple of minutes, remove my soft shell and take off the down pants. And now let's move to our upper body. You will need a couple of t-shirts, because on the lower elevations it can get warm and during the day you will want to be in a t-shirt. And you can opt for something like this, which is polyester. This is your typical gym or running t-shirt. If you take polyester, I would seriously consider planning to use it only one day. When you sweat in these, they become nasty. So polyester, I would go with maybe 3 or even 4. If you opt for something like this, which is merino in 150 grams, you could live with one, but take 2. They're light, so having an extra one is always helpful. And then when I go up the mountain, I change into something like this. Again, it can be polyester, but I don't have any, or it can be merino like this. These are 200 grams, long sleeve. What I like about this specific model is the hood. As soon as it gets a bit windy or a bit chilly, I just pull the hood on, and the hood is big enough to fit over a helmet. You won't be using a helmet on Kilimanjaro, but on other mountains you might be. And I love this long chest zipper. If it starts getting a bit warm, you can open it and it makes a considerable difference. So that's upper body. And now I think we can move to the head. Where did I put them? Here. Lower elevations, it will be sunny during the day, and even higher elevations, there will be the sun. So you need something to protect from the sun. Some people opt for those Indiana Jones hats and so on. I used to use those, but I learned that a baseball cap is the most versatile option. So this is for the sun. And then I always take with me a couple of neck tubes, also typically referred to as buffs. One is really thin and one is in mid-weight merino. This is some 200 to 150 grams. And why did I say that it's very versatile to take a baseball cap? Because if it's sunny, but it's also a bit chilly, which can easily be on the mountain, you can do this. Excuse me for a second. So like this, it protects your neck, of course, and the cap protects you from the sun. But because my ears and neck are exposed, it can get chilly. If I'm wearing the long sleeve hoodie, it's very easy. I just pull the hood up. If I'm with the t-shirt or I don't have a hood on my top, I just do this. And now the back of my head and my ears are protected. And if the wind is bothering me, even on my breathing, I can pull it up like this. And then if the sun comes up and I'm feeling warm, I just do this. So this is what I've learned with experience. And I can take this off. And then you will need a warm beanie for the higher elevations. And especially when I go to the jackets, if your jacket doesn't have a hood, which is very unlikely because most thick jackets have a hood, you will need a thicker beanie. This is enough for me because my jacket has a rather thick hood. And then we move to our hands. I like to always carry in my day pack thin gloves like this at lower elevations. So when I'm not using gloves, I always keep these in my day pack just in case it gets a bit chilly and I need to protect my hands from the wind and from the cold. These are light, you can go with any brand that you want. When you go higher up the mountain, you will need warmer gloves. Something like these Marmot, they're not too thick. They're similar to cycling gloves, but they have a leather palm and are waterproof. Then for summit day, you could still survive with these, but your fingers won't be happy. So ideally you go for something really thick, like these Black Diamond Guide, and they are, most reviews say these are the warmest. So buy whatever you want, these are quite expensive. If Kilimanjaro is the only mountain you intend to do, there's no need to spend so much. But buy gloves that people in reviews say that they feel warm in. Skiing gloves also work well. And if like me you suffer with cold hands, then these are really amazing. So what I do is I wear my thin gloves and then, which side do we need? This one. I slide my hands into my gigantic mittens. Why do I wear also a base layer glove? Because sometimes I will need to take off these mittens. These mittens, they're very warm, but the disadvantage is that you're very limited with dexterity. Yeah, you can play games, but you can't do much things. Even sometimes undoing a zipper is hard. So what you do is you typically wear it like this. Give me a second. And when you need to do something, you just pull it out, let it hang, and at least your skin is not exposed directly to the cold. So that's our hands. And now I would like to talk a bit about glasses. Whenever you go on a mountain, you need to take good quality sunglasses with you. Don't, for any reason, take unbranded sunglasses because you cannot be sure that the lenses have any UVA and UVB protection. There's no need to go for very expensive models, but at least buy something from a reputable brand that you know that offers real protection for your eyes. And they have to be category 3. Again, in the video that I will link, I explain what categories are and so on. Category 3 means that they are quite dark, and they work well for the mountain. These are specifically mountaineering glasses, so they have also protection on the side, and there are even other models that offer protection on the top and on the bottom. You will not need something so technical for Kilimanjaro. This will do for Kilimanjaro. And if you don't have mountaineering glasses and you don't want to spend money on them, as long as you have a good sports type sunglasses, which are category 3, then those will work well. And now I would like to go into sleep. First I'll go for sleepwear, then I'll show you the sleeping equipment. Absolutely necessary, earplugs. If the guy in the tent next to you snores every night, these will save your mental sanity. These are not necessary, depends on how you sleep. but I typically need them. So these are an extra pair of of gloves, because when I sleep, sometimes I put my hand out of the sleeping bag and it's cold, especially if it touches the ground, because I like to sleep a bit with my hands out. So a pair of gloves. You could use the other gloves, but these, because you touch rock and so on, tend to get very dirty. And for this minimal weight, I like to have clean gloves to sleep in. Warm beanie to sleep in. It's also nice, I don't have one here, if you have a face mask, so that the sun in the morning doesn't wake you up. What I usually use is another buff. I take another buff and just pull it over my eyes. Then to sleep in, I sleep in another long sleeve merino hoodie. So if it's not too cold, I can just pull the hood rather than wear the beanie. And then another merino base layer. Again, these can be synthetic, and you will only need one, because these you will not be walking in them, so you will not sweat, and even synthetic will work with just one pair. And then I like to have thick socks. I specifically like these heat holders, very fluffy on the inside, they're really nice and warm, and I use them only for sleeping so that they don't get sweaty and dirty. All my sleeping clothes I use only to stay at the camps and to sleep. What else? So, okay, let's shift to the sleeping equipment. You will need a sleeping bag, of course, and it has to be rated at least minus 15 degrees Celsius. In the video I'll translate that to Fahrenheit. And it can be as warm as minus 20 degrees. This specific sleeping bag from Mountain Hardwear, I believe the model is called, I can't remember right now, maybe I will remember later or have it written. It's called Phantom. So this is Mountain Hardwear Phantom. This is a minus 18 degree bag. It doesn't have, this is made from down. It doesn't have to be made from down. It can be a synthetic bag. The only difference is weight. A synthetic bag will be heavier, but you will not be carrying your equipment. Porters will be carrying your equipment. You have a 15 kilo limit. So as long as your duffel bag, which I'll show you later, stays within that 15 kilo limit, you're fine. Synthetic sleeping bags are much cheaper. So again, if this is maybe your only mountain that you intend to do, you could go for synthetic. And I believe most of the companies offer sleeping bags for rent. So renting would be the ideal option. This one also packs really lightly. Sorry, not lightly, but packs really small. It fits into a small package. Another nice item to have, but not a necessity, is a pillow. Some people can easily sleep without a pillow. Another option is to take one of your jackets, stuff it in a stuff sack, even the stuff sack from the sleeping bag, and use that as a pillow. That is what I do in high camps up the mountains, because you can't carry too much weight. But if this fits within the 15 kilo limit, I'm taking it with me, and I did take it with me. This again, as you can see, packs quite into a small package, and then I always put this and the sleeping bag in waterproof bags. I was going to forget to show you warm layers for the upper body, so let's go with it. So this is a fleece zipper, a hooded fleece zipper, and this I'm either wearing it or it's in my day pack. At lower elevations, like I said, I will be in my t-shirt, and then if it gets a bit chilly, I put this on. At higher elevations, I will be in my long sleeve, and if it gets colder, I put this on. Go for a zippered version rather than something which is like a jersey that you put on, because with a zipper you can open it as much as you like and really adjust your body temperature depending on the conditions around you. You will also need a light down jacket. Again, this one has a hood. I really like having hoods because hoods increase the versatility of the garment. This also packs really small, as you can see. And when I say it's a lightweight jacket, I mean that it has around 150 to 200 grams of fill weight in it. I'm not talking about the fill power, but the actual weight in it. The fill power depends on the brand and how much you spend on the garment. For summit day, I would opt for a thick down or synthetic parka. The difference between, they look just the same, is just that this has a lot more filling in it. That is what makes it a parka. This has a lot more filling and it is much, much warmer. So when I was summiting, I was wearing the long sleeve merino, and on top of it I wore this. So only the long sleeve merino and this. And I must admit at certain points I was a bit too hot. But when I did it, it was a relatively warm summit day. We had around -8, -10. And this can be a bit too warm. If I knew the temperature, but we didn't know what the temperature was going to be, I would have opted for the long sleeve merino, the fleece zipper, and the thin down jacket. And that would have been enough. Maybe I would have packed this, and as you can see, this one also packs to a really small package, and kept it in my day pack just in case. Always make sure that in your day pack you have at least one extra layer of warmth that you can add on top of what you're already wearing. Waterproof layer. This is essential, especially on Kilimanjaro, because it tends to rain a lot. Especially if you go early in the season, so soon after the monsoon. You can go for any brand jacket. Try to opt for a 3-layer insulating material. Again, in the other video I explained the differences between the types of waterproofness, but what I mean is that it has to be a really waterproof jacket. That's why I say 3-layer construction. And the nice feature is if it has these underarm zippers, because it can be raining and be quite warm, so you will need to open these zippers to get some ventilation but not get wet. And then you will need waterproof bottoms. These you can get by with a 2-layer construction, which means that are a bit less waterproof, but because of the construction, how the rain hits our body, you can get by with these trousers. And on these a nice feature is a full length zipper. So if I show you from the bottom, you can see that you can unzip them all the way. And then this makes it easy for you to wear them without taking off your boots or anything, because your boots will go easily through this hole. So I think we've covered all the clothing. I forgot something, apologies. When it comes to sleeping system, your trekking company or mountaineering company will provide you with a mattress in your tent. But having with you an inflatable mattress like this Thermarest will make your sleep a bit more comfortable, especially if there is some stone poking through the mattress, because the mattress they give you is something like this and quite soft. And also this makes you sleep warm because it insulates you from the cold from the ground. So if your sleeping bag, if you have one, maybe is on the lower side of the warmth level that I explained, so maybe it's a -15, having one of these will ensure that you sleep better and warmer. So we've covered all the clothings, and now we move a bit on to equipment and other accessories. You will need trekking poles. There's no need for very technical trekking poles. Anything will do, even quite a cheap model. Ideally they are collapsible, also to travel with them. So they have to be collapsible, either telescopic or like these, which completely break down. Don't forget to take the snow baskets with you. Water bottles. One smallish water bottle, something like this. This is 500 ml. It can be your gym water bottle. Typically I use a hydro flask, so it's an insulated bottle, but 2 weeks ago I lost it on a mountain, so I still need to buy a new one. And this one I keep it somewhere handy, usually on my backpack. I'll show you, my backpack has an attachment so I can drink on the go. Then inside the backpack I will have 1 liter bottle, or 2 of them, depending on how long the trek for the day is. I like these Nalgene wide mouth bottles because they are easy to fill, and also because I can use another piece of equipment with them. I'll show you in a second. And then I have these nice Nalgene cozies that are amazing, especially on summit day, because they prevent the water from freezing. And another nice feature is that at night I take one of these, I fill it with boiling water, close it of course, keep it in this cozy, and then put it at the bottom of the sleeping bag. It gives a bit of warmth, and what I do also, I take the clothes, at least the base layer that I will be wearing the next day, put it at the bottom of the sleeping bag around it, and in the morning when I need to change clothes, I find it nice and warm. These are quite expensive, these Nalgene cozies. You can use something like a thick sock like this. Cheaper and still does a good job. Staying on the issue of water, the company you will be with will provide you with purified water. But what they do is they take water from a stream or something like that, and then they use purification tablets. But they use them at a much lower dose than you should use them, because their belief is that the water is safe, and the pills give a very bad taste to the water, a taste of chlorine, so they put less than they should. I never want to risk any gastric issues on a mountain, so I take my own purification method. I found this TerraPen to be amazing. The battery will last for all your trip, and all you do is press it, put it inside and swirl for 1.5 minutes to disinfect 1 liter. And that is why it's nice to have a wide mouth, because this fits in and you can swirl around. You can use other methods. You can take your own tablets and add them on top of what they provide you with. And you can take also filtration bottles, but be careful that the filter doesn't freeze. Otherwise, the filter breaks, you won't realize, and it stops filtering. So if you take a filter with you, keep it always somewhere warm, which means that at night it has to go in the sleeping bag with you. You will need a head torch with at least 200 lumens. Again, you don't need to spend too much here. Anything from reputable brands will do. This is a black diamond spot. And take extra batteries with you, because batteries last for a shorter period when it's really cold out. This is not essential, but I find it really useful. It's a small lamp that I use to move around camp, so I use only my head torch for summit day, and then when moving around camp I use this, and when I'm in my tent changing clothes or reading a book or something, I use this one. Okay, this is not necessary, but have something with you to take photos and video. You will want memories of the trip. Nowadays, anyone's phone is good enough to do this, but I love this Insta360. I either hold it in my hand or I put it in my backpack, and then you get really nice footage of your trips. Power bank to power your electronics. The more electronics you have, the bigger your power bank has to be. And of course, charging cable for each type of device that you have. Don't forget to take the cable that matches your devices. Not all devices use USB-C, so be careful. And now let's talk a bit about some other small items that I find really useful. So let's start with these. These are chemical foot warmers and chemical hand warmers. They are nice to have on summit day, especially if you might be opting for the not so warm boots or not so warm gloves. These will provide a bit more warmth and make your summit day more comfortable. On Kilimanjaro, there are no shower facilities, so it's used as taking a big towel and shampoo and so on. So what I take with me are these called bathing wipes. These are not the small baby wipes. These are bathing wipes which are used to clean bedridden people. So you buy these from pharmacy. This particular pack has 10, which will last you for your entire trip, and they're really nice. They're quite big, like an A4 piece of paper, thick, and they don't contain soap. I don't know exactly how they're made, but they're amazing. And what I like to do is, when I reach the campsite, I change my clothes, clean myself with these, put on some deodorant, and then wear my camping and sleeping clothes, so that I'm always clean when I'm putting on my sleeping clothes. A very small towel, because they do provide you with a small bucket of water so that you can wash your face and so on, and after washing your teeth you can wipe a bit your face. And to go with that, a small bar of soap in some container, a few packets of tissues, toothbrush and toothpaste. I personally don't use toothpaste, I use these tablets. So these look like small sweets. You put one or two in your mouth and it reacts with your saliva and becomes like a sort of toothpaste. It's not as good as toothpaste, but it's light to carry, it doesn't freeze on the mountain. I can count how many I take with me, so it's really lightweight, and I always use those on the mountain. High protection sunblock and lip balm also with sun protection. Journal and a pen. Small first aid kit. Some kinesio tape. This is amazing to fix any tears in your clothes. Couple of cable ties to fix whatever can break on your backpack or so on. A set of shoelaces, which also doubles up sometimes as a hanging line inside the tent to hang any clothes that might have gotten a bit wet during the day, with sweat or with rain. A small pen knife, whichever model you like, but keep it light and small, don't overdo it. And I found that typically a small scissors is more useful than a knife. And then some medicines. In the list that I've attached below, I have a full list of medicines, but I would say these are the necessities. Some lozenges for your throat, because with the cold it's easy to get a cough, and it's really annoying if you keep coughing, it drains your energy. Some plasters for blisters. I don't suffer with blisters, so I just take a couple just in case. Paracetamol and maybe some general use antibiotics. You will need those by a prescription from your doctor. And then this is an issue I want to discuss a bit. Altitude sickness medicine. Diamox or like this, acetazolamide, whatever the brand is, it doesn't matter. Most of the people on Kilimanjaro are using anti-sickness medicine. My suggestion is this. If Kilimanjaro is part of your training for progressing to bigger mountains, like it was for myself, then don't use altitude sickness pills. See how your body reacts. Learn to understand how your body reacts to altitude. Of course, if you're feeling sick, take them. But if you have those mild symptoms, try to resist and not use it. If Kilimanjaro is a one-off project and you just want to reach the summit and you don't plan on doing anything else, then sure, why not take some altitude sickness pills? Consult with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. This is just after having consulted with your doctor, whether you decide to take them or not. Taking some to help you reach the summit. And I believe we've covered almost everything. Take with you some form of entertainment. You will have quite a lot of free time in your own tent or in the dining tent, and it can get boring. So I take a book with me. Most people take a Kindle. I don't have one, and I really prefer the feel of a book. And you can also download some movies or series on your mobile phone. In that case, you will need to take headphones with you. And I would say that's it. Take a selection of Ziploc bags in various sizes. These come in really handy to put your wet toothbrush in, to put your wet socks in, and so on. So these take little space, but are really useful. A pee bottle is not a necessity, but if you wake up in the middle of the night, especially if you're taking altitude sickness medicine, because this acts as a diuretic, so it makes you need to pee more. Having a pee bottle is nice. So if you wake up at night or before you sleep, you don't need to get fully dressed and go out of your tent to use the toilet. You just use this one. Make sure that you choose something with a wide mouth and that it's very easy to distinguish it from your other bottles. In my case, it's easy because it's a collapsible one. But some people use identical bottles to what they drink from, and that's not a nice incident to have on the mountain. Last 2 items. All of this needs to be carried. Some of it needs to be carried by you during the day, and I was explaining what I would keep here. You will need a day pack between 30 and 40 liters. Something like this Osprey Mutant, it's a 38 liter backpack. Make sure it's comfortable, make sure it fits you well, and make sure you've hiked in it several times so you know that it doesn't create any rash anywhere and you're used to it. And what I was explaining before, I like to put this kind of attachment at the front, and then my water bottle fits here. Usually it's a different bottle, but this one also fits. And then I have it readily available, and I make sure that I stay hydrated on the mountain. Being hydrated helps to avoid altitude related symptoms, so drink often on the mountain. Take a rain cover with you to protect your back from the rain. Keep anything you don't want to get wet in dry bags and in Ziploc bags, like your electronics and so on. And then you will need a large duffel bag, something like this North Face, or something like this Patagonia Black Hole. This will be carried by the porters. This is what needs to be within the 15 kilo limit, and they do check, so be careful. If you don't have one of these, and these are not cheap, you can travel with your large suitcase, and most likely your trekking company can provide you with one. Either you rent it, or some just provide it for free because they are branded, so they lend it to you for the expedition. Check with your company what equipment they will provide you with, so that you know what you need to take and what will be already there for you. So I forgot one last thing. Disinfectant. Take disinfectant with you. Hygiene on the mountain is important. You don't want to get any gastric issues. So whenever you go to the toilet, disinfectant. Whenever you're going to eat anything, disinfectant. In fact, I don't have it right now, but usually I have a small bottle of disinfectant that I keep clipped to my backpack, so even if I'm having a snack, I eat it. What I'm not showing here and you will need are snacks. Take snacks that you like with you. Snickers bar, protein bars, gels. Make sure that they are things that you've tried before and you know that you enjoy eating them and that your body can handle them comfortably. That's it, snacks, and that's all. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. If you found this video useful, I would appreciate if you put a like and subscribe to my channel to see other content that hopefully will be beneficial for your trekking and mountaineering adventures. See you in the next one, and good luck for your Kilimanjaro climb.